Hello, welcome back to the Your Everyday Strength podcast. My name is Josh Sternberg, and if you're just joining us here for the very first time, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. If you are returning, again, thank you very much for being here. Today, if you've read the description, you already know, we have a guest. If you're watching the video on YouTube, you'll be able to see them. We have the lovely Ishbel Graham. Now, Ish is she's gonna just talk about herself for a bit, which seems she's really happy about, excited beyond belief. So, firstly, thank you very much for being here today.
Well, good. Thank you
Secondly,
for reaching out.
let's go. Rip in. Tell the people
Cool.
at home who you are, what you do, all of it.
Cool. So I'm Ishbel, or just Ish for short. I live on the Northern Beaches in Sydney. I am a coach at Strength Tribe, which is in Brookvale, and I have been training for about 10 years. So I started when I was 14 in the gym. I did my first powerlifting comp in 2018. So it's been 8 years since my first comp, which is just crazy. And then I've been coaching since 2021, which brings me here today.
That's 14 is very young
Was pretty
for
young,
most people
yeah.
to start the gym.
Yeah, I'm
What
very
was
glad I
it like?
started when I did.
Yeah, what was it at 14? Like, what actually got you into it at that age?
So, before getting into the gym, I was really into athletics, right? So, track and field. So, primary school, early high school, track and field was my thing. 100 meters, 200 meters, and whatnot. Uh, Part of that training, I had a coach, and in year 7, I was at a private school that had like a little gym kind of set up. So we would do training after school, and if it was raining, we would literally go into this tiny little dingy gym. It was me and like two other boys in year 10. So I was the little year 7 girl training with these two boys in year 10, and then we had our coach. So when it was raining, we'd go into this gym, and I was obsessed with the leg press. I was like watching the boys on the leg press. I don't know why they were leg pressing. They probably didn't need to. And I
Of
was
all
just sitting there
things.
doing like core stuff. And I was like, please let me go on the leg press. Please, please, please. And he's like, all right, fine. So I get on the leg press, and I'm like, I've got to be able to do like more than what they can do. I was so competitive. I just remember like I was always praying that it would rain so that we would go into the school gym and just use our training time to be in the gym. I was like, this is sick. Um, Throughout year 7, I had a really difficult time with my mental health. I developed quite a severe eating disorder very quickly, and I had a very rapid physical decline in about a 6 month time. So I was hospitalized for 6 weeks and then in and out of hospital from that. I missed out on a big chunk of high school from year 7 to year 11. I was part time at high school. I just felt very isolated from my peers and I was just really up and down. It was super rocky and just literally nothing like I am now. Like, I don't even know who that girl was, to be honest, but it was a rough time. Part of my physical rehab was bringing up my bone density because it was quite low just from the malnutrition. And so I got set up at my local fitness first as soon as I kind of turned 14 and I was in like an okay-ish space. Um, I had a few free sessions with some PTs there, and it wasn't really like super structured. It was just kind of like body weight stuff. Now you're going to lift some weights, and now you're kind of cleared to exercise or whatever that means. Looking back, I definitely should have been allowed to exercise because I still wasn't in a healthy headspace. But luckily, I met some amazing people at this gym that really sort of took me under their wing. I had a lot of PTs just help me out for free and kind of guide me along. And the gym became this thing that was just like my little safe space. It's really what I looked forward to. And for the first time, I was exercising not for anyone else or not for a particular goal. I was just there as a physical outlet. And naturally, I became quite good at it. I was like, I'm kind of strong. And I started to mentally improve a lot. And I kind of found myself hanging out at the squat racks quite a lot. Now, you can imagine this is like 2016, fitness first. You kind of know what the fitness industry was like then. Like, I look back at some of the stuff and I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Anyway, I used to work up to a 1 RM squat every single session. Like, I kid you not, I would go like bar
Mint.
40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Every single session, I would try hit 100 and like not get it. And I used to just hang out with these. I was like, this makes sense, right? This is totally how it makes sense. I used to have I used to get the bus to the gym after school and I would sit there on my notes app and I would write my workout. I kid you not, there were like 14 to 20 exercises per session. Everything was a superset. It was back and bis, chest and tris, a quad day, glutes and hamstrings, abs and calves. Like, I was on bodybuilding.com, like what have I got to do? What have I got to do?
The
And I was
bro split.
supersetting like everything to failure. Just like I used to just do like lateral raises, superset with shoulder press, superset with push-ups, superset with tricep push down, like drop set. I'd be like, cool, that was cool. I'll do that again. That makes so much sense, right? Anyway, hanging out with these guys at the squat racks, and they were like, you're pretty strong. Let's teach you how to deadlift. Let's teach you how to bench. I was like, okay, I'll do whatever. I used to hang out at the gym for like 4 hours. And there was a local comp coming up at a gym called J Train. And this is when APL was pretty small. Starting out was run by a lovely guy named John Gabrielle, and he was there. And I had a PT, Ryan, who I'm still friends with today. He wrote me just a traditional like 5-3-1 program. He was like, cool, this is like how you're going to kind of run into this comp, and then we'll see how you go. I didn't have a suit. I didn't have a belt. I didn't have anything. I rocked up to this comp, somehow allowed to compete without a suit. I had heaps of fun. I had the best day ever. John, the president of APL at the time, walks up to me and he basically says, do you want to go to nationals? And I was like, nationals? Sure, let's do it. He was like, can we sponsor you? And I was like, okay. I was just like, this is cool. I was literally taking any opportunity that came at me, and I was just like, just so go with the flow, which outside of the gym, everything in my life, I was so not go with the flow. I was anxious about everything. I would shy away from every opportunity. I didn't want to have anything to do with anyone or anything. It was just like put myself in a bubble and protect myself. But when I was in this environment with these people, with these adults, with surrounded by people I looked up to, I just felt so safe and like I could just take these opportunities. I ended up going to APL Nationals. Very different to APL Nationals now. So APL Nationals in 2018 was in a PCYC in Ashmore. Don't quote me on this, but there was less than 50 lifters.
I'd believe it.
Um, there it was. Uh, so yeah, it was 2018. So I was 17 at the time, and I think I squatted like something over 100 kilos. I benched well under 60 kilos, and I think I deadlift like 120 kilos or something. And I won overall female. So just to put that into perspective, that's what APL was like then. And I got this huge ass trophy. Like when we moved to this apartment, I was like, "Kay, can I please put my first nationals trophy up?" And he's like, "We don't have room." And I was like, "Oh my God." It was like a goblet.
Don't ever.
Like
Hey, I've seen all of Cade's treasures and things that he has set up around.
I wasn't allowed my shiny gold literal goblet trophy. It was like APL national champion. And then he was like, "Cool, you're going to Worlds." And I was like, "Worlds?" And I was like, "Dad, guess what? We're going to Las Vegas." So we went to Las Vegas, and John from APL at the time, like pretty much like sponsored a lot of us to go over there. He was incredibly generous, and he did so much for the sport. Like without him, I would not be where I am today. He did so much. He kitted me out with SBD. He helped me get over to Las Vegas. He made sure, I had everything I needed. I was okay. Obviously I was, quite young, so he communicated a lot with my dad. Like they picked me up from the airport when I went to Queensland. Like really just generous guy looking out for me and lots of other lifters.
Mm.
And I did that comp and it was super fun. I think my total just, I wasn't making any progress with my total, but I don't think I even cared. I was just having the best time ever. I was hooked. Um, and then I was in year 11, year 12, and then spat out the other end of high school, having just barely survived. But I knew that training was something I needed to do. So I did my cert 3 and 4, still having a rough time mentally. Not so great, but getting through. Gym all the time. And then 2020, a friend from the gym messaged me like, "Hey, there's a powerlifting gym opening in Chroma. Do you want to go have a look? It's called Strength Tribe." And I was like, "I don't have a license. Like, how do I get there?" Got a bus, rocked up to Strength Tribe, and I was like, holy shit. This is what
Bit
a
different to
powerlifting
any
gym
time.
is?
A
I was
little
like,
bit
is this what a
different to
powerlifting
anytime
gym is?
fitness.
Oh my God. I was like, this is insane. Like, I went from like feeling like, I'm sick. I'm super strong. I'm awesome. I'm a powerlifter. And I walked in here and I was like, whoa, but not in a bad way. I was like, I need to be a part of this. So I got my first casual job at Rebel. My paychecks were between 150 and $200. So I naturally signed up to coaching for $150 a week. Didn't have a
Perfect.
car, couldn't get to the gym. I was like, nope, sign me up, done. And I was just obsessed with it. And here I am 6 years later, been coaching at String Tribe since 2022. And like my life just literally from that first comp that I got urged to sign up to now that's basically how I got there. And I've seen APL grow from the early days to where it is now, and continuing just to year on year exponentially just grow is just insane. Like I'm incredibly privileged with the way that I got brought into this. Not only did I start training young, but I had the right people around me. Those people at Fitness First looking out for me, the coaches looking out for me. I really got taken care of, and I love being able to do that for other people now. And, the fitness industry is pretty different to how it was 10 years ago. It's still not, the greatest, but like I was just incredibly lucky to be surrounded by the right people at the right time. And that's why I'm
Mm.
just one of the reasons I love coaching, because if I can provide even just a little bit of the opportunity that I had to someone else, I just know it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, for sure. And like, firstly, for one, that is the best, most in-depth description someone has ever given me to a question on this podcast. So you now hold the title, because that was absolutely, that was not rehearsed. Anybody listening to her, there was no rehearsing to that.
If you
Ish
ask
kind
me
of
about
freaked
my
out.
story, I'm like, mate, you like I love it. I'm just
No,
yeah.
but that's the thing though. Like, that's like, just even being able to sell, like, you can tell your energy coming off of you when you tell that story is something that people will be able to resonate with, because there is so many different aspects of that, from when you started at year 7 and worked your way through from, obviously being in and out of hospital and things like that, and moving your way up, finding strength. Like, I know for a fact so many people have had similar stories, or there might be people who are now currently stuck in certain situations that they can hear something like that and be like, oh my gosh, like, she's amazing. If she can do that, so can I.
It's this crazy thing, because it's like if I could go back to myself then and just be like, hey, look, like, you know, 4, 5, 6 years in the future, I'd be like, wow, I need to stay around for this. Like, this is pretty sick. And it's super cliche to say, like, you know, the gym saved my life. It didn't. Therapy did, but it definitely played a massive part in it. Like strength training, I do believe saved my life in more ways than one, in combined with everything else. And like just the value it provides and the value I see it provide for other people just is what I'm so passionate about.
Yeah, I love that. And you can tell the passion, as I said, like, you can genuinely feel the passion coming off you, like the energy flowing through this conversation already. There's two things within that I kind of want to unpack, because one, saying the gym saved your life, but then actually correcting it and saying, therapy. I am someone who's very, very similar. So like, I have not to the same sort of like storyline as yours, but I often say that the gym did save my life. And it truly changed my life for the better. And that was exactly what inspired me to launch this podcast, to start coaching, to do everything that I've done since then, has always been done from the place of, I want somebody who needs the guidance to be able to find the guidance when they need it, to be able to help themselves get through whatever their situation is that they are arising. And using the gym as a modality of that, not using it as a crutch for mental health, because I think that actually comes with its own basket and can of worms that I think a lot
100%.
of people overlook. But utilizing therapy, and utilizing therapy for what it's intended for, which is to help you, and then having something so positive within the gym space, whether it is strength training or honestly any form of
Anything,
training in general.
anything.
I don't care what people want to do. If they find something that they enjoy and they love and they can put energy into it and it helps them to show up differently every day, I think it's an amazing thing.
100% I agree.
With everything you've been involved in and everything like that as well, I do like the fact you've spoken about therapy. If you're open to it, would you
Yeah.
mind sort of providing a little bit more of an insight as to how you believe therapy has helped you throughout this journey, in conjunction with, I'm sure, training and all the rest of it outside of that?
Yeah, I'm definitely an open book. So I guess when I say therapy, I'm talking about psychologists, and then you could say therapy through medication as well, psychiatrists. So I was involved in that system very early on because my mental health declined at quite a young age, like quite a early onset, around 11 years old. I was very quickly showing signs of like quite debilitating anxiety, OCD, and things really just like spiraled incredibly quickly into such a severe eating disorder. So then when I sort of was medically stabilized and sort of therapeutically stabilized, like just like held together and saved, then the real work came out of that. So a lot of the therapy I went through was very involuntary. I didn't want to be a part of it, but when you're that age, you're forced to pretty much, which is traumatic in its own way. But it gets you kind of the next stage is like, cool, you're okay. Now we need to actually like keep you functioning so you can continue to get better. And I was going pretty frequently. And I think the first time I realized that therapy was helpful was actually after having doing it for many years, where I was pretty much forced to do it. Once you get to sort of the age of like 17, they start the discussions around like, okay, you need to transition into like the adult system. You're no longer in like the adolescent system. Once you transfer to being in the adult system, everything's your choice. You no longer have to do all these things, which was a bit scary because up until that point, it's just what I did. I would just rock up to these sessions and sometimes I just wouldn't say a single word. Other times, they were productive or whatnot. And then it kind of hit me at that point and I was like, all right, I've made it this far. I should give this a crack. So I stuck with it. And I started to really realize that a lot of the strategies that they had just been harping on about actually made a difference. I was like, oh, I can actually use these. And I, still use some of them to this day. There was this analogy about riding a wave with really intense emotions. And I'm a pretty emotionally intense person. And when I was younger going through that, that really was harmful for me. So I had to learn that when you're at the peak of an emotion, you're at the peak, it feels like it's never going to end. If you wait 10 seconds, 10 minutes, an hour, you will eventually come down off that peak. And I've used that analogy so many times with clients and still in my own personal day-to-day life of when you're dealing with discomfort, when you're dealing with maybe urges to engage in unhealthy behaviors, or you can use it in behavior change, entirely differently. Just sitting in discomfort, acknowledging that when you're at the peak of that wave, you just want to get off. You're like, there's no way I can last another second in this. But as soon as you start to drop off that peak, you're over the other side of the wave. You're coming down the other side of the wave, and then you have some air, you have some clarity, then you can make decisions. A lot of therapy was about, I guess there's this sort of reflective and introspective stuff, like talking through things like talk therapy, but then a lot of it was also like role-playing scenarios and exposure to certain scenarios that, will potentially trigger you and be uncomfortable and practice basically putting yourself through it without it being the real thing. And then later on, it became more about like real life strategies about like, okay, when you're feeling, really emotionally overwhelmed at work or at school or things where now, because you're not younger and you're a functioning adult, you can't run away. Unfortunately, your mental health, if you don't take responsibility for it, will have real consequences. You might hurt people, you could lose your job, things like that. And that was really eye-opening for me because I was kind of like, okay, I'm capable of doing things now. I'm studying, I'm working. I need to make sure that when I do run into issues in the future, I'm able to handle it on my own with these tools and building a bit of a toolbox. And the analogy constantly coming back to therapy was how can we add another tool to your toolbox that when you're in the moment, when you're in a crisis, you can use one tool to help you get through the next 10 seconds, what's going to get you through the next 10 minutes, and then how you're going to deal with it tomorrow. And being able to pause and create space in a moment to make a more rational decision when all you want to do is be irrational is one of the best skills I have ever learned to this day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you relate to any of that. And to be
Oh,
honest, this conversation is the first time that I've properly actually reflected on my therapy journey. So I've kind of been jumping around a bit thinking about it. But to this day, the thing that I use most frequently personally and share with other people is you've got to have the ability to pause, zoom out to give yourself space to talk through something.
absolutely. I think there's quite a lot of things you said throughout that resonated heavy. Went to a psychologist myself when I was 11 and a half years old. So
There
very
you go.
similar to yourself. And I have gone to therapy on and off since then. So that's coming up now nearly 19 years,
Wow.
off and on, through therapy, psychiatrists, psychologists, everything you could possibly think of. Very, very similar, and just trying to piece together. And yeah, they definitely love the tools in the toolbox. And
Yeah.
how can you, and everybody's so different, but even with just what you've said then with relation to finding the tool that's going to help you to be able to pause for that 10 seconds, because I think that's something that's so critically overlooked is exactly as you said, like when you're at the peak of that wave of that emotion, or you're in the thick of it and you're at the depths, the bottom of the barrel of to how
Yeah.
you're feeling, you think that that is it. And
Yeah. You can't see any other way out of it. And then when you're out of it, you're like, why did I feel that way? But that's just how emotions work. I guess it's just how the brain works.
exactly, it's something that it took me a very, very long time to learn. Unfortunately, it took me attempting to take my own life and then wanting to do it a second time before I was actually able to find help that was like, okay, well, we need to try and get you to a point where even if you're feeling close to that, how can we get you off that ledge? And there's so many different techniques, like it's very specific for everybody, but utilizing that, that 10 seconds or that minute or the 3 deep breaths, something
Sometimes
that
you've
one of my
literally got to
therapists
go
taught me.
second by second
Yeah,
to
it's
get
it's
through. Yeah.
hard, and I I truly empathize with anybody who does go through similar situations, because I know what it's like, and obviously it sounds very clearly like you know what it's like as well. And I think well, I know for a fact that that definitely helps from a coaching perspective
Mm.
to actually be able to be like, hey, I know that things can be hard, but let's try some strategies. Let's try to think this through. And first and foremost, I will always refer any client who's struggling back to a
100%.
psychologist
Yeah.
every
There's
single
there's
time. It's
no
like,
way that you and I or any coach
oh,
like should be able to handle this apart from just being a normal human being and being empathetic and listening. Like, of course, anyone can do that, but it can be harmful to try and take it further yourself.
oh, absolutely. I think the one of the biggest assets that I found in my early 20s was the GP, the mental health plan. So being able to go and set that
Yeah.
up and go to a
I've
GP.
I've told clients about that and they're like, I had no idea. And I was like, yep. Like, do you
I
have a
had no
GP
idea
you
when I
like?
first set it up.
Great. Talk to your GP. Like, it's so great. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going to that first GP appointment. And one of my mates at the time, I was in a pretty low spot, and my mate was like, "Hey man, did you know that you can actually go to a GP?" Because I was like, "I can't afford a psychologist. I don't have the money for a psychologist. I'm fucking barely making ends meet as is." He's like, "Go to a GP," and I just booked a random GP because I was too embarrassed to actually go and see my regular GP,
Yeah.
because I was like, "Oh, I don't want this guy to know that I'm mentally unwell, and like, what's he gonna think?" And I remember going in with almost oh, this guy's just going to judge me, and like he's going to think poorly of me and all the rest. And he was probably one of the most sympathetic people I've ever spoken to. But he did it in a way that didn't make me feel like he was pitying me,
Mm.
which I think was really, really important at that time. I didn't need someone to pity me. I just needed someone to help.
Yeah. Take
And
action.
yeah, exactly. Having somebody there to be like it's going to be okay. We're going to start this process. Even just leaving that appointment and having some steps forward,
Mm.
having like, okay, so we're going to book you into a psychologist. This is going to be your first appointment. This is how it's going to go from here. Just even having that and knowing that like there's actually a little bit of a step in place to get better helped me
Yeah.
massively.
There is so many parallels that I can draw from what you've just said to coaching.
Oh, absolutely.
Someone coming in with an issue and you're like, they walk out of that session with things already in place. And by taking action itself, you can help remedy some of that feeling of being stuck before you've even taken the action itself. And I'll use that as a tool helping clients with behavior change. It's like physically within the conversation, it's like if they can start to take action during the conversation, they'll leave that and be like, I've already started the first step and I haven't even started. It's like, cool, now I can keep going. Rather than being like, hey, here's a list of things you need to do. I'm going to text you tomorrow and you got to do it. It's like within that conversation, you can work with them. They can come up with the first action almost themselves, and you can actually start to take action immediately. Once you start taking that first step, naturally the next steps follow. So, yeah,
I think
very
what you
interesting
just said
parallels.
there, yeah, with what you just said there about having the client almost take that first action themselves, I have found to be the most helpful thing when it does come to, from a coaching perspective, with behavioral change or just even initiating the process to start. Because if there's one thing I've learned over the journey, as you said, as coaches, we could tell a client what's best for them. We can send a list and be like, I want you to do this. And they'll go, that's homework. Fuck that. I'm not doing it. Why would I do what he's told me to do?
Yeah. Or they're like,
But
great,
when
I'm
you
so excited. As soon as it goes to doing it, it's like
don't do anything,
like you're paralyzed because
yeah,
no
having
step
that,
no step has been taken yet. It's
exactly.
yet to happen.
once they sort of come to the realization that like they're actively involved in the process of helping themselves and they're the ones that are actually making that decision, despite the fact that as coaches we may have helped guide them to that decision, I think them coming from the place of having that thought process of, well, this is what I'm doing to help me, rather than this is what Josh has told me to do to help me, or what
So
Ish
like,
has told me to do.
yeah, can have two very
It,
different outcomes.
yeah.
An example of this, I might even just use an example of, say, a nutrition consult with someone. I'm talking, say they want to start tracking food. I'm like, cool, we're going to start that process. Do you have a tracking app on your phone? Okay, let's go into your app store. We're going to download one. Let's make an account together. Okay, you've got the app. What did you eat for breakfast this morning? Let's put it in. I don't care if it's not accurate because I know you didn't weigh your food. Let's put it in. Cool. You've started the process of physically using the app, and there's data in the app now.
Mm.
Now we can talk about how to weigh food, what it, calories and macros, like that's a later thing. Right now we're talking about the behavior change physically itself, getting the ball rolling. Now the app is physically in your phone and you've got entries in it. Because for a lot of people, if you follow up, 24 hours later, hey, did you download the app? No, no, not yet. Haven't got around to it. You're on the back foot already.
Yeah. Do you think that that's something missing from coaching as a whole?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think when I work in person with people, I am so comfortable not throwing them under the bus or throwing them in the deep end. That sounds really harsh, but in essence, yes. On a really small scale, that might look like a client being like, coming up to me in the gym being like, hey, I was doing this exercise. I wasn't sure if I was doing it right. Or, hey, can you show me this exercise? I'm just gonna be like, show me how you do it right now.
Hmm.
And they'll do it right now. I'll be like, cool, change this, XYZ, done, 30-second thing. Rather than being like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm gonna go to Ish. I'm gonna say, I need help with this exercise. I don't want to show her because I'm doing it wrong. Just like breaking it down to the smallest, simplest steps reduces that barrier to them, making the change. Going back to your question of, is that something we're lacking in coaching, potentially online coaching?
Mm-hmm.
Like onboarding processes, I think can definitely be done better. And they take time to refine. And like within literally the first 24 hours of onboarding a client, based off what you do as the coach, you know if they're going to stay or not. And that is totally on you. If you've just given them things to do, if they've come to your consult or come to your first session and they've left with more things to do or more things to figure out, they're gone. Like genuinely, like it's going to be hard to make up for that because you've just made their life harder in some small way. While if you've given them something immediately that solves some sort of problem, even on a small scale, you've done your job. And I think as coaches, sometimes I've seen coaches forget, like, we don't hire the client has hired us to help. Therefore, every minute we have with that client, we have to be helping them. Like,
Mm.
we're in the business of helping people, providing a service, not a product, not an idea of a result, not a potential. We're not trying to change this person to be a better person. We're physically trying to help them as people through our skills and experience and insight.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's perfect. I in the past, like working with and onboarding clients and things like that, my initial consult will go upwards of an hour to hour and a half sometimes with a client. I've had people be like, "Oh, this is a really long consult." And I'm like, "That's because I'm here to help you. I'm not here to
Yeah,
just get your money. If I wanted to just do that, I would
you
send you
can.
my link
It's
before you'd
actually
even
not that
sign up."
hard
Like,
to do that, but
yeah, just fuck, here you go, here's a link, here's the payment, do that, and we're done. Like, that's sorted, we're going. But
yeah,
and then the actual initial the onboarding process itself, like sending through the Loom video and sending through everything that we're starting with and all the rest of it, and really ensuring that that person has a full understanding of, okay, these are actually the steps we're going to take place. And I think that that comes from just trying to figure shit out my own for years, being
yeah.
like, what would help me? I've oftentimes put it down to like, what would I need?
That is such a good way to
Because
think about it.
I know my brain. If someone just gave me like a massive fucking list of things, I'd be like, good luck.
And
That's
if you're
not
already
happening.
struggling, like you're already finding it hard to do the thing that you want to do, you've sought out help from someone else, you're already finding it hard. So if they've just given you back, we'll do these things. It's like, well, if I had done those things in the first place, I wouldn't be needing your help.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it doesn't make much sense.
Here's your calories and macros. Go figure out how to track. It's like, no, no, no. Like some people, depending upon the demographic of person you work with, it's like they don't know what a calorie is. They
No.
don't know what a macro is. You tell them macros and they're like, oh, I heard that from some dude on Instagram. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're going to need to, like, we're starting this process from the start and to give you as much knowledge. Because my biggest goal with any of my clients, and I've said this to them for years, is my goal is to ensure you don't need me long term.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you do need me, it's for different things.
It's because you
It's for
choose
th
to.
it's for things that you've now gone, you know what? That thing I can't do currently. I want to do it in the future, and I know that you can help me get there. And
Yeah,
it's building the tools
exactly.
in the toolbox.
Yeah, add in more tools. I've worked with clients for years. I've had some clients for fucking oodles amounts of years. And it's not because they need me, it's because the relationship we've built and we're continuing to work on different things, or they might be competitors and they, still seasonally going through different competitions and things like that. And we're still building and refining and growing and all the rest of it. But I will also have clients who leave and then they'll come back. They're like, actually, I've got like another goal that I want to work on. I really want to work on it with you and things like that. But they'll come back to me and be like, oh man, like I had one client come back after like 4 or 5 years away and be like,
Wow.
oh, I'm still actually using one of the recipes that you gave
That's
me
the
back then.
best.
And I'm like, what do you
Nothing like
mean?
it feels so good when that happens. Like it
I love
genuinely
it.
feels amazing. You're like,
Yep.
yes. It's just like it does feel really, really awesome. I actually
It,
like back to the psychology thing. One of my very first psychologists who I hated at the time, I was like, get me out of here. 5 years after my final consult with her, like I don't think she would have ever remembered me. And I like rang the reception like 5 years later. I was like, hey, I don't know if this is appropriate or not. Like I was a past patient. I just wanted to give a little update. This my psychologist. Luckily, she was still there. And I just like sent through like an email with like some photos and videos of what I had achieved because the last time she had seen me was pretty much like kicking and screaming, like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to have anything to do with this. Get me out of here. Like bottom of the bottom. And so she got that message and she rang me personally, like out of hours, and was like, this is just, this is one of the reasons I do my jobs because I was still using the tool she gave me. Even at the time, I was just like, get me out of here. Like it does sink in.
I think that it's something that my dad actually instilled in me is everything you do in life, every job, every experience, every friend, if you're going to a therapist, anything you do, you gain experience.
Yeah.
There's little bits and pieces you can take from everything, and you might not ever think that you're going to use that again. This stuff we've all sat in school and been like, I'm never going to do this again. And then all of a sudden, one day, you're in a random conversation or something pops up, and you just, without even thinking about it, you just kind of like instinctively, it just comes out of that brain, comes out of the back depths of wherever it's been,
You're like,
and you're
oh,
like, shit, that's fifth grade teacher was right.
yeah, I'll have to say that happens to me with everything except maths. Like the other day, like Pythagoras came up and I was like, oh no, it's gone. Like I don't got that anymore. Luckily, I've got this dude in my phone named Claude. He actually knows for me, so I'm gonna use that.
Fuck AI, the rise of that nowadays. Actually, I want to jump into that.
Let's, okay, let's open the can of worms.
AI coaching. What are your thoughts?
This is so relevant to me right now because in the past 72 hours, I've started using it. And when I say
Okay.
using it, I mean failing to use it. So for context, my partner Cade, whose wonderful desk is behind me, he is a very avid researcher in exercise science. He's got published research now, which is really cool. Fucking nerd. He loves using AI and he uses it in really cool ways, but he's also so conscious of the fact he's like, I don't want to stop using my brain. He's like both pro AI, but then not anti AI, but is like it's being misused. And he taught me pretty much everything I know about AI because like I don't know what half the terminology is. Like what's a language model?
Mm.
Like I just Google stuff. And I was constantly Googling things. He's like, ask chat. I'm like, no, ew. Like we've got like Google Home set up. And for the first like 6 months, I was like, I'm not telling Google to turn the lights off. I would get out of bed, turn the light switch off. He's like,
The
Ish,
robots are listening.
he's like, just tell it, turn off all the lights. And even to this day, I'm like, hey Google, turn off all the lights. And then I'm just like cringing. Like, I'm just like, I just don't like it.
Mm,
But the past year and a half, surprisingly at uni, so I'm studying a Bachelor of Nutrition Science. And now with some of the assessments, they actually give you guidelines on where you can use AI rather than doing a blanket like AI is not allowed. If you use it, that's plagiarism. They're like, for this question, you can reference the prompts you use. There's obviously restrictions on what you can use it for, but
mm,
there's actually like they're giving assessments now and assignments where you're allowed to use it within certain ways, which I think is really cool because in the health industry, it is a very big thing. Like you want to graduate your health degree, wherever that is, having some knowledge of how to use it in the right way. So I've had to start
mm.
using it through uni, much to my dismay, but it was cool. And literally within the past 72 hours, I decided, okay, I've got a few bottlenecks in my business, right? I've got client communication all through WhatsApp. They've got their Google Sheets with their program, and I encourage clients to leave comments and notes within the program for both them to see, but also for me to see. So they might leave a comment of, uh, drop the weight on the last set. Next week, I'm going to do all sets at X weight as a reminder for them. But then, like, I might see it. Sometimes clients leave notes or comments, and I don't see them, but they've intended for me to see them. So then they'll follow up with a message. And then I've kind of got, screen recordings of check-ins where I give a lot of information. And if I'm saying an action point, like, cool, I'm going to send you this video on like a breathing drill tonight. I'll, wrap up the video with that. And then I physically write down, send Sam breathing drill video for me to remember. And I feel like I've got so many bits of information in so many little different platforms, basically. And one of the things I love about coaching is remembering the little things. And, especially in person, right? Like just hearing about people's days and you remember it, like you organically remember it for the following session. You're able to follow up with these people. As your client base grows, that gets really hard. And it really sucks when you miss little things that you said you would do. And then you're like, crap, I didn't do it. It's like I wrote it down, but not on the right platform or I missed it. And so I was like, okay, I need to make sure that that doesn't continue to happen as I grow because I really love attention to detail. So I was like, cool, I'm gonna like ask Claude how I can do all this. Literally for the past 72 hours, I've learnt what like app scripting is. I joked to Kate, I was like, I've been coding. He's like, no, you've been vibe coding. And I was like, oh, I'm a vibe coder now. I don't know what that means. So I've been trying to set up like an automation flow that I get an email every week summarizing all the comments that clients have made and any action points from my like check-ins. So I get like a singular snapshot of things. It was meant to come through at 3 p.m. today. It was meant to like auto run and it didn't. So I've obviously messed up somewhere in there. So I'm currently in the process of like basically trying to just rope learn this thing. So I
Mm.
definitely do see it as a really cool tool for coaches to enhance their service, but not
Yeah.
replace anything. It's to save time on tasks that aren't fundamentally part of your skill set.
Yeah.
So, emails, formatting things, collating information. I think those things that save you time, that allow you to do your job better and help more people is where a massive, like where big benefits lie. But I think there's going to be a few years ahead of us of some very rocky, poorly implemented systems for coaches because it's just unregulated and people can do what they want. So I think I'm just going to kind of hold back a bit and try implement it in little micro ways and see if it works or if it doesn't. And I literally asked Claude, I'm like, is this worth my time for the amount of clients I have and for my budget? And it'll come back and say, no, do it this way. I'm like, oh, cool. Like it knows itself rather than being like, yes, you should totally do this.
Mm.
So I'm kind of learning a little bit about that, but I'm testing it on clients. Like I'm using it on like previous programs that aren't running anymore rather than trying to implement it on my client base because I'm terrified something's going to go wrong. So that's kind of where I'm at. Literally very fitting question because I'm starting to just go through it. Tell me about how you use it. I'd be really interested to hear that.
I firstly like the fact that you're not utilizing it as a means of trying to get out of actually doing the core essence of your job as a coach by doing the training program, doing the nutrition or doing anything like that. for one, because I know that there is a lot of people out there nowadays, especially in the online space, who are doing it for that. And I think that that in itself is a
Yeah.
whole different conversation.
It's yeah, I don't wanna I could really hurt some people if you let me talk about this. Like it really grinds
I'm the
my
same.
gears.
I think it's like I've been coaching now for 8 years as of this week.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, something around, it's 8 years as of this week. And as I said from the start of this, my biggest thing is, and the reason I got into coaching is because I truly just want to help people. That's it. And utilizing things like Claude and chat, and I've been on the chat bandwagon for quite a while now, almost using it as a secondary person to converse with. I think a lot of people get caught up in the whole, oh, well, chat just agrees with you and it just tells you what you want to hear and things like that, because they're not utilizing it effectively. And I'm sure Cade has definitely spoken about this sort of stuff.
He
If
came over to my
you can,
computer one day and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Chat loves me, man." He was like,
exactly, that's the
it's
problem.
just lied to you." And I was like,
That's where the problem lies. And I spent a considerable amount of time structuring mine and giving it prompts all in the back end so that it questions me, makes me justify my rationale, provides alternative thinking, does all of these different things. So it still allows me to think critically, because I'm very
"Yes,
similar to
critical
Cade
thinking."
in his thought process is I never want to utilize AI and make myself dumber. I
Mm,
love my brain. I love critical thinking. I love actually pondering and being inquisitive and wondering why things work and how to make them better, not just, oh, well, fuck it, I'm just going to go straight to this and let it do it for me.
yeah. And making
I want to know
mistakes
why.
is so valuable.
Exactly.
It's like
Making mistakes, fucking up.
if we lost the ability to make mistakes, like literally everything would fail.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's using it as a service. So very similar to what you've said, like there's admin tasks and things like that that are just so boring and monotonous for my brain that actually don't have any real application to my coaching, but they still need to get done.
Yeah.
Just tracking back end systems, and even financial tracking and things like that, like just stuff that helps my accountant but doesn't directly help my clients.
Yeah.
It's just all these little things that you can use it for, I think are great, and I've used it to compile a hell of a lot of things, but at the same time I will always go back to my own knowledge, my own experience, my own, who the person is right in front of me, because
That's the most important thing is the
that's
person in
who
front of
is.
you.
Exactly. And not everybody's going to respond the same way. So I think that that in itself is protective of good coaches, because you still actually need to have an ability to communicate and talk with people.
I was listening to a podcast by James McIntosh. I can't remember if it was Prescript or Paint the Edges. They've got sort of a few podcasts, but he was
Mm.
saying that I don't know if you're familiar with James Mac,
He was
just the
my
way he
coach for about 12 months.
no
Yeah.
way. Anyway, the way he talks just sometimes is hilarious. He was just
It's funny
saying
as
like
fuck.
he was like if you're a good coach, you will use AI correctly because you're a good coach. You physically know how to give the right cues and ask the right questions because that's part of your job. If you are a bad coach, you will use AI poorly and it will perpetuate your bad coaching. And I was like, that's insane. Like, that is so true. So I
Mm.
think we're actually going to start to see some kind of separation or trend in the industry in the next few years of AI kind of going off in two different directions, depending on how AI even goes, because I feel like every week something's new about it. But depending how people use it, it will start to make the levels of coaching a little bit clearer. Because currently
Oh,
it's like coaches can post results that are really convincing and amazing, but they will cherry pick results and very smart marketing goes into it. And it's really hard for a consumer to distinguish, is this coach even right for me? Because their results just look like you can't look away. While there could be someone who could suit them so well just around the corner, but this person just isn't super great at marketing. But you're going to kind of brush this person off as, oh, they don't know what they're talking about because their marketing's not good. That doesn't make much sense. So I
mm.
think like the good coaches will continue to get ahead, and the people who are maybe, not that doing coaching as a side hustle is a negative thing, but the coaches that might not have the best intentions or aren't willing to kind of go through the trenches a little bit, it'll become clear like, who is authentically coaching and who isn't.
Yeah. I've seen that already over the years with the biggest, I think even removing AI from the factor, seeing a huge growth in online. And as you've said, like it's very easy to post a bunch of transformation pics and market it, put it up on an ad, get a whole bunch of people in and just pump the numbers. And that's great.
Mm.
You know, if that's somebody's business model, if that's what they want to do, I'm not shitting on somebody for doing that. If they're genuinely helping people in the process, I think that that's amazing. But there will come a time, and I've had clients come to me who have come from some of these coaches, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like I got really good results, but I kind of just felt like a number."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, "Cool. Well, the results that we attain, they might be slightly slower, but that's because I'm not thinking about the next 6 weeks. I'm not thinking about the next 8 weeks. I'm thinking about where are you 12 months from now? Where are you 2 years from now? What are you doing in 5 years' time?"
Yeah. You're not using that
And
client as advertising.
no, I post transformation pics very rarely, and it's not because I don't have them. It's because for me, I've always wanted to genuinely help, and I think sometimes there is unrealistic expectations about somebody's results they've attained because everybody's lives are so different.
Mm-mm.
Somebody's like, "Oh, this person got so shredded and lean, and that's amazing." I'm like, "Yeah, but that they don't work. They go to
Yeah.
the gym and they get to hang out at home, and all they do
Yeah.
is train." And it's like they're not working a full-time job with 2 kids at home and a wife or a husband, or
Yeah.
they're not doing
Total
all of these
context
other
is everything.
things. And that's where I
Context is
think
everything.
we, especially nowadays with the short form and everything's just fast, 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 fast. That's why I think we've seen a rise in the good coaches and the people who genuinely give a fuck, the long form content coming back as a really big domain for people to actually
Yeah.
look at and utilize. Looking at people like James Mack with their Paint the Edges podcast, or even just the Prescript podcast in general. If you've never listened to either of those, RXD Radio, fucking amazing. Paint the Edges, hilarious.
Pretty much the
Listening to
only
James,
podcast that, yeah, like I consistently listen to him. In fact, I just bought the Prescript Barbell course yesterday.
yeah, it's an
I've been
amazing
I've been sitting
service.
on the edge for so long because I've just been like waiting to be able to drop the cash on it, and it came through, and I was like, boom, done. But I have so much trust in these people, and even though I've never met them, because of their long form content.
Exactly.
Like,
But that's the biggest difference, I think, is I've had clients come to me through so many different modalities and things like that, and being able to connect with them on, especially in an online basis. I'm only online now, so I don't have that face-to-face connection anymore. And working face-to-face for so long, I was like, well, fuck, I really actually miss that. I do
mm,
miss that aspect of things because that connection and that human connection. And as you said, it's just the little things. It's like they've mentioned something that their kid is doing at school for that day. And you don't get that in a check-in. They're
yeah,
talking about their week and their summary of their week and how it's been. Like
you
you,
get a
you
little
don't get
snapshot.
the,
Yeah,
exactly. You don't get the whole, "Oh, well, my son actually did really well at school. He got an award for English," and things like that.
yeah, yeah,
That stuff is things that I actually miss. So trying to like connect that into the online space
mm,
can be hard for coaches out there. Like I do get it, but I also think that more coaches need to take the time to actually think about the person in front of them and what makes them them.
I'm a really firm believer that my clients have all the answers I need. And it's kind of
Mm,
like if I'm thinking, how do I solve this problem for this client? Client struggling with X, this client is struggling with Y, rather than like me continually asking myself those questions through conversations, through what I learn about them and them as a person and their environment and what they're sort of subject to outside of the gym. That literally gives me the answer. Like I'm not going to, Google it or whatever. The client in front of me has everything I could possibly need. You've just got to ask the right questions as the coach.
yes, I love that.
That like I always remind myself of that if I'm really sitting down and brainstorming, like, okay, this has happened for this client. Like it could be anything. They've got a work trip come up last minute, and they're in, a powerlifting prep, and they're 3 weeks out, and all of a sudden, like they have to go somewhere. I might start thinking like, oh crap, okay, this is going to mess up my timing for their lifts, and what am I going to do with their deload and their gym equipment? And it's like, okay, actually, the client is probably already thinking about solutions for themselves. They've got a better idea than me turning around and saying, okay, cool, these are all the changes we're going to make to your program. I should actually just have a little call with them for 10 minutes. Be like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about, where you're going? Have you had any thoughts about what you might want to do over the next week? Because they probably have thought about it themselves because they also care about
Mm,
their training. If they're a little bit more experienced as well, you might be like, hey, what are you thinking? And like, cool, I'm thinking this. And I'll be like, that's a really great idea because it's your idea because you're the lifter and you know your body, how you're responding. I can check if that works with our current system and then we can collaborate. And we both leave that conversation like really confident and reassured. Versus if I
v-
turn around and be like, this is how it's going to work, they're like, okay, more things for me to figure out.
exactly. One of the things you said in there, though, that I love, and I think if any coach is listening to this, you need to utilize it more. Asking the questions to the client themselves and allowing them to collaborate on the process. And a lot of coaches, I think, get lost in that because they get so scared that the client then won't need them. They're
Or
like,
the
oh, well,
client's
if I'm
going, oh,
asking the
my
client,
coach doesn't know what's going, like, my coach doesn't know. He's asking me. It's actually no, like, the client has the answer. Like, they have all the
yeah,
information I could possibly need to do my job.
exactly. And like even using that example with last minute work trip and things like that, there has been times where I've contacted gyms for a client because I'm like, hey, you're so busy. Like I know you've got to get home to the kids this afternoon and get training in and do this and do that. I'm going to contact this gym. They're close to the hotel you're staying at. I'm going to find out if they're doing 24-hour passes or how it works for you. I'll let you know. We can run it by you then and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're going, oh, thank you, because that's
Yeah.
taken something off of their plate. It takes 20 seconds nowadays to either call or send a message on Instagram to a gym and be like, do you do casuals?
Yeah. Rather than be like,
Sweet.
rather to the client, like, oh, by the way, can you find a gym near you? Have you had a look? It's like
Mm,
another task on their plate. We can actually do
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Where are you staying? This hotel. Perfect. Here's 3 gyms within the area.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Thank you. That helps
And
me
I think
massively.
this makes me kind of like where the fitness industry is in its own little bubble, right? When we look at other industries, who knows? I'm just going to say like, I don't know, the construction industry or finance or whatever, they've got people for different departments. If someone in a department doesn't know how to do something, they talk to the person responsible for it and like delegate. Us as coaches, I think we're so often stuck going like, we've got to do everything, but we need to collaborate with the person in front of us.
Yeah.
And then back to the AI point as well, again, I see nothing wrong with coaches learning how to use AI to help with those other tasks that aren't directly to do with their service because any other large scale company would have someone's sole role to deal with admin or to deal with invoicing or to deal with something like that.
Yeah.
So it
No,
makes sense to
absolutely.
be able to use those tools to let you do your job better.
Exactly. And I think that's a big thing for a lot of younger coaches and just coaches in general. It is a fairly solo endeavor. And until you get to a point where you can have a team and everything like that is a very top percentage of coaches who can actually do that.
Yeah.
Like it's a very, very, very small marginal amount. And like I know for a fact I don't have the money to sit there and pay an admin staff to do certain things for me. And that's where the role of AI can come in. Or I know people utilize offshore VAs and stuff like that as well. And just for things like that, I think it's amazing. I genuinely do. I
100%.
think that
So
those services
I'm pretty
around can
excited
help
for
with
the
that.
future of that to help build up smaller coaches who are doing
Yeah,
such great work
absolutely.
but don't have the capital or the resources or the facility or the people to appear on the outside almost like as good as they are, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah,
you've got to spend so
because
many years just it's just you running it.
well, a lot of coaches, a lot of good coaches are coaching.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that they're not on. Like I know coaches who work in gyms and they are so fucking busy. They are
yeah,
making a fortune. They're
yeah,
booked out every single day of the week, and people online will never have even heard of them. They will have
exactly.
no idea that they exist
Yeah,
because they're just not marketing because they don't. That's not their space. That's not where they need to be. And then
yeah.
you got the
It's
other end
like
of the
the
spectrum.
it's like I get these, I don't know if you get this. I get business coach ads all the time on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
And the first thing I do go to the comments, and some like the comments always from a random. They're saying like nice ditty or something, like they're just like poking fun. I don't know if you've seen those comments. They're just like poking so much fun at these like business coaches, and then someone in the comments is just like, um, tell me you're a business like if you really made your $1 million a year, why are you selling a course for like $39, like type thing. It's like that's
Yep.
hectic. Like the business coaching world, it like is crazy to me.
It's another, yeah. The rise of business coaches is almost in direct correlation with the rise of fitness coaches and things like that.
Literally.
As soon as fitness coaching became a big thing on social media, all of a sudden there were these coaches who were business coaches who were like, yeah, man, I can teach you how to become a really good PT or a
But
really
now
good
there's
coach.
business coaches for business coaches. This is what I don't
Yep.
understand.
It's just all passed down. It's just all
I'm like,
funneled down from the top.
they're like they're posting their stats of their client who is another business coach selling courses. But I'm like, who's buying those courses? And how is this coach making 50K a month? And they're like, 3 months ago I was making 50K a month. Now I'm at 100K a month. Here's how. It's like I just like see
Oh,
it. I'm
yeah.
like, why is this in my feed? Because I'm like there's, there's no
It's just
way.
pyramid schemes. It's the new age pyramid scheme. It's
Yeah,
the new
it's
Herbal
wild.
Life or something like that.
It is. It actually is.
This is,
It's so
it's the
wild.
coaches coaching coaches to coach coaches who are just coaching
And I think,
no one, I
unfortunately,
don't
the
think.
victims of this are the consumers who just want help to be better people and be healthier.
Yep. Yeah, I
Like
think that that
there's
is a
there's
big thing.
no wonder people feel so stuck. Yes, with social media now there is so much information out there, but was it really is it really easier than it was 10 or 20 years ago? Like, yes, there's more information accessible now, but like I don't know if it's better off
No,
with
I
the
think
way the
it's
current landscape is because there are victims of this whole landscape and it is the people that genuinely need help. Like just they just want help with their training. And we get it like at like Strength Tribe, right? We're just like we're not like you come in, like we'll take you through the systems. Like this is no fluff. Like this is just how it is. And people are like, oh my God, this is just such a breath of air. Because like this is an actual facility. This is a brick and mortar facility and everything is how it is. We
mm,
don't over embellish it. Like literally only in the past, like since this year have we started properly making content. Like just before I
yeah,
joined the podcast with you today, we have a videographer that comes in for us on Fridays, and he just goes, "Cool, what did you do this week? Talk about it. Point, shoot, done." We're not sitting going like coming up with like content funnels or whatever. I literally look at my WhatsApp and I think about my check-ins that week, and I'm like, "What problems did I solve? Let's see if I can help other people solve that problem." And like that's the content we're at right now, which is really refreshing and really nice to do. So I'm excited for the rest of this year to be able to get that out there and just kind of cut through a lot of the bullshit.
I think that that in itself is evidence of what we were kind of talking about before, where there's this weird disparity between there's a lot of successful coaches who post just like, to utilize the marketing terms, your top of funnel stuff, like your joke videos, your funny things, the things that bring views and people
Yeah.
get a bit of a laugh out of for the 10 seconds that they have the attention.
Yeah.
And then
Which is
you've
so
got the other
fun.
end of this. It's great. I post at least one of those a week because it does actually work to bring
Uh,
new people in through
the
the
one
system.
of you like sitting where you are right now and you're like, working from home's great. Like, I love the solitude. That made me laugh quite a lot.
It's just stuff like that that I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool, but it also allows me to get like a little bit of my personality out and bring some people in. And then the content that you're talking about, like, what did your clients experience this week? That's the thing that actually matters because if you have a young mum of, two boys and she doesn't know, like, she doesn't care about the jokes. She just wants to know, like, oh, there's actually someone else out there like me who
Mm.
they've just started in a gym and they're a little bit nervous to go and squat for the first time. And this tip helped them. So maybe that will help me too.
Yes. Something I've been thinking a lot about lately is the rise. This is a good thing, right? The rise of female strength training over the last few
Mm,
years. Huge. I think we're getting to the this is my opinion. I think we're getting to the point, maybe there's still a way to go, but we're getting to the point where we no longer need to scream from rooftops, women need to strength train. That we're not giving them options on how to do it. It's now become this thing of like, I'm getting clients come in, leads, and they're like, all right, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 30s, I've never strength trained in my life. I know I need to do it. I know I need to do it, and I'm not doing it. And like, help me, help me. They're panicking because now it's another thing that they're not doing. It's like, oh, I failed this diet. I tried this thing and it didn't work. And now it's like, oh, this strength training thing, I'm not able to do it either because of all this information online. It's like, don't do this, do this. You know, do this exercise this way and it will 10x this. It's all these absolutes. And these women and are like, cool, I know how beneficial strength training is because of all the wonderful research that's being done, the promoting of it, which I just think is absolutely awesome. But we're not actually helping these people take action to start their journey. And it's this
Yep.
thing of like women need to lift heavier, 3 times a week, like pick up the heavy weights. Like that's great. But if you don't give people the right tools or guidance, you can hurt yourself. Like I'm not afraid to say that. And I think there's this big thing of like, you have to lift heavy. And as a way to almost, encourage people to get into it, which I understand. But on the same end of that, it's like you've also got to take care of this client and start and meet them where they're at. So I'm seeing this interesting shift of now like more people are strength training, which is just absolutely wonderful. But the next stage is we need to actually help these people and give them better information to start taking steps.
How do you
I don't know what
propose?
you think about that.
No, I totally agree. I want to know your thoughts on how do you propose for, yourself, myself, good coaches out there who genuinely give a fuck about helping people. How do you propose that people do that better?
This is what I'm grappling with at the moment because there is still work to be done in getting women in the gym. I'm definitely not
Hmm.
denying that. And, where I am in Sydney, very fit and healthy lifestyle of the population around here. Gyms are on every corner. There are women in them all the time. And I know that that's not the case in other parts of Australia and other parts of the world. So this is not me discrediting the promotion of female strength training. I think it is wonderful, but we're not giving them enough just smart options. I think what we can do is continually meet clients where they're at and not assume things. Not assume that we need to put a barbell on their back or a barbell in their hands and be like, this is strength training. Sign up for a powerlifting comp. If you don't, you're not a real powerlifter. Like,
Oh,
don't get me wrong, powerlifting is amazing, but it's not the solution to all your problems.
correct.
Like, it's like I just have issues with it at the moment of really pushing strength training on women who are a vulnerable population who know that they need to do it. And yet it's another thing that women aren't doing because they're still scared to because of all the information and overwhelm online. And women are still being taken advantage of in the fitness space through the really aggressive transformations, through, aggressive dieting, like, and through like unrealistic promotion of, bouncing back from pregnancy or really high performing just individuals that don't represent the majority of the population because social media allows that cherry picking of those things. And I actually think it creates more distance for these women who are on the other side in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s who go, cool, I'm really interested in getting started in strength training. How the hell do I do it? Because all I'm seeing is everyone else who's already into it and they're absolutely killing it. All these super strong women, everyone's got coaches, everyone trains at these super cool gyms. I work a 9 to 5 and I've got some dumbbells at home. Like
Mm.
I'm not good enough. And it's almost like by pushing it so hard, there's a gap that's going to continually exist. And I'm currently thinking like, how do we start to further reduce that gap rather than just continually increasing it?
I think you nailed it with one of the things you said in there as well with relation to strength training as a whole, the way in which it is marketed online is squat, bench, deadlift, is powerlifting, is strongman, is this, is that. And I think, and
And
it's
they're
not even I think,
extremes.
they are extremes. And that's the thing is,
They're
we already touched
extremes
on
in
it at the start.
disguise. Like they're
We touched on it
literally
at
in
the
disguise.
start.
Yeah.
Doing anything, I think doing anything is a good start. If you have dumbbells at home, honestly, I've worked with women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, premenopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, like all of it. People who have never stepped foot in a gym in their life and they're in their 60s. And they're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable going to a gym. I've got a 10-kilo dumbbell set at home, but I don't think that's going to be enough. And I'm like, that is perfect.
That is
We're going to
perfect.
start right there because you've got
Like
some dumbbells, you've got a chair, wonderful. We got
And if
everything we
you
need to
say
start.
that you're a strength coach and you can't help these clients, you are not a strength coach. If
You're
you
not
get
a
these
coach.
clients come to you and you're like, oh no, you're going to need more than that. Like, we need to find a gym in your area. Like, can you commit to 4 days a week? Matt, you are not a coach. Like, that is a disservice to your client.
I've had clients training 1 day a week to
Same.
start.
And at
1 day a
first
week with
they're like, oh
nothing
my
but
God, like,
resistance bands.
yeah. It's like, man, this is so much more beneficial than nothing. And two,
Exactly.
you've started taking the action. You're proving to yourself over and over again that you can do this. So, hey, guess what? In 6 weeks, you feel you actually want to go out and buy that dumbbell set, and I'm not going to force you to. You're going to turn around and be like, oh my God, hey, I'm feeling amazing. Found these on Marketplace. What do you think?
Yes.
I'll be like,
Yep.
sounds good to me. I'll change your program. Are you comfortable filming yourself? Like starting that process truly from where they're at, rather than someone coming to you like, hey, I want a strength train, and maybe being like, cool. How many times a week do you want to squat? Like you
Yeah,
just
so
miss the.
it's you got squat on Monday, you got bench on Tuesday, you can have a rest day Wednesday, you deadlift Thursday, and they're like,
Do you have 3 hours after work?
I
Cool.
don't even have a
Let's do a
gym
squat
membership.
session.
I don't even have a gym membership. I got nothing. It's like,
Yeah.
great. Meeting people where they're at, again, is one of those things that was taught to me very, very early on as a PT, as a
It's the
coach,
best skill.
is actually, and this is where I think again it's going to create that the distance between the good coaches and the kind of coaches who are just there for the show of it, or the money, or whatever the flashiness of whatever it looks like, that lifestyle.
The freedom.
Well, yeah, it's freedom for sure. Like, great, but like, I work more hours now than I ever have, and
Yeah.
I'm up stupid early to work, and like, it's cool. I love it, but at the same time, it comes from, you know, being able to actually show up for the client and be there to meet them where they are, to allow
Yep.
them to then grow. And so often, what people will find is there'll be two baskets. There'll be a person who goes to a coach and is like, okay, well, you're doing 4 days a week. You have to go join a gym. This is what we're doing. This is all you're doing, etc. And they're gone within 5 weeks, 6 weeks. They're like, I can't
Yeah.
do this. I can't commit. I can't do it. It's too scary. It's
Yeah.
too overwhelming. And you have the person who starts and they're at the current, they're doing nothing. And you're like, wonderful. All we're going to start with is you're now going to walk your dog around the block once a day. Grab some resistance bands from the shop. Here's a set I found on Amazon. I have a link to an Amazon set of resistance bands that's like a tube thing that ties to a door
Yeah.
that I have sent to
Like the
so many
PTP
people.
kind of ones. Yeah.
Exactly. And they're like, I've got nothing. I'm like, cool. This is $50. This is all we need to start.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I was a little bit scared about joining a gym. I'm like, you can do it in your garage.
Yeah.
Crank
And
the
then
tunes at home.
before you know it, 6 months time, they're actually ready
Yeah.
to do the next step. They've decided. You're like, this is so good because this person really wants to. I'm not making them. They've come to me and be like, cool Ish or cool Josh, I'm ready. Let's do it to do
Yeah.
this next step. It's like, yes. Going back to this thing about all exercise, like anything being good, what really blew my mind recently was I had a new client start and they were like, um, they loved the plan, blah blah, and they're like, cool, so I'm gonna cancel my Pilates twice a week. And I was like, hold up, why? They're like, oh, because Pilates is it's bad. And I was like, said who? And they were like, oh, like I've just been seeing all this stuff online about like, it's just not real, like it's a waste of time, like it's only toning. And I was like, mate, I have been to Pilates.
It's fucking hard.
I had to walk, like I almost walked out. But also like exercise, it's so funny because everyone preaches online, exercise is more than burning calories, it's more than this, it's more than that. Yet we're still missing the point. If someone goes to Pilates because they feel good, that is enough of a reason to keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we, the online space dictates itself by saying things like, yeah, don't exercise to burn off calories, like exercise, train for bigger reasons. But at the same time, coaches will shit on other forms of exercise. It's like you've literally contradicted yourself. It's
Yep.
like, oh, don't do, you got to pull back on the running or, don't go to yoga. Like that's not beneficial for you. It's like, I think you're forgetting the entire person and the entire holistic thing right here. If we're trying to help people, we are promoting exercise. That is a health promoting behavior. If we're just like this in this little niche of like strength training and completely missing what people enjoy and contribute to their lives outside of just progress, Like it's okay to do things for reasons other than making progress.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it's just, I see so many contradictions in the fitness industry that I'm just really like taking a step recently, just thinking like, wow, like you see it's like a pendulum swing. It's the same as the diet industry having the pendulum swing of like carbs are bad, carbs are good. Veganism was huge a few years ago, now it's carnivore. And you know what? It will swing the other way. And it misses the entire thing in the middle of just stuff that works, no matter what year it is, no matter what the trend is. It's just stuff that works. And then we're seeing it in the fitness industry. I don't know how many years ago strength training and women weren't a thing, quite a while ago. It's definitely swung towards it's got to be done, which is great. And I'm not disagreeing with that. But it's also missing this middle portion of how and like enabling people to, not just pushing it in their faces and creating more of a divide and fear of like, it's another thing I'm not doing that I need to do.
Mm.
Women already face a lot of that. I need to do this, I need to do X, I need to do Y to be better, to be a better person, to run a better business, I need to be a better mum. I need to do all these things to be better. Strength training is now on that list for a lot of women, and it's like it's adding to their work. So it's our job to make sure it's not another thing on their list of things they should be doing that they're not doing, which makes them not good enough. It's this contradiction which I'm finding really interesting and seeing play out in real time.
Yeah, it's something that has never gone away. There's always been, from when I first started in the industry, when I first started going to a gym, there's always been these blanket rules, black and white statements that this must be the way it is done and that's the only way to do it. And it's like 90% of what I learned as a coach, and this is where I think the discussion around critical thinking and actually still utilizing your brain for its capacity to do the things it can do, which is far better than any computer at this point in time. Having an understanding of that's, there's never black and white statements. It's never absolutes. It is, okay, this is where the mix is. This is the graph. One person might be here, one person might be here. You're here, that person's there. There's so many different areas, and it's like, cool, we need to cater to them. And how do we
Mm.
do that? Communication, for one. Learn how to fucking communicate. Learn how to
If you don't
talk
have,
to someone. Learn how to ask questions. You've nailed it. You've said it multiple times in here. Ask questions. Ask the
and then
person
ask
in
more
front of you.
questions. And then I've gotten the best answers out of clients when I repeat the question multiple times and I'll say, why? I'll go, how? Why? And then they answer it themselves. And I'm like, boom, you just said it. And they're like, oh my God, makes so much sense. And I'm
Mm.
like, cool, now we can use that answer and apply it to what we were talking about before, like getting like deeper questioning, not just like, what are your goals? And then they say that and you're like, oh, now I can like use that answer and be like, this is what you need to do. And it's like, you've just like, that's not real questioning.
Yeah, I want to lose 5 kilos. Okay, great. Here, we're going to put you in a calorie deficit. You've got 12,000 steps. You've got 5 days a week. It's like,
Let's
why do they want
go.
to lose? Why do they want to lose 5 kilos? Actually, I want to lose 5 kilos because I want to be able to run around with my son who's just started sport.
Or, hey, I want to lose 5 kilos because I hate my body. And it's like, okay,
Two different ends of the spectrum there. We're going
literally
to work on
changes
both
your
of
coaching
those.
approach. It means you do an entirely different approach.
Exactly.
And it's just so many people are getting harmed by this high volume coaching and it's motivating and it seems so inviting. If I was a client and I was going online, I'd be like, oh my God, what coach do I pick? Like, this is insane. Everyone is so good. And I have access to them and it's affordable. Like, this is amazing. And then you go through the churner and you're like, oh, I hate the fitness industry. And you get spat up the other end. I feel like that's what people are going through currently
Yeah.
is they do
And
the
I do
rounds
believe
and
it's
then and
it's
they
going to
get
get
spat out
worse.
and they're like, I'm done. I'm
Mm.
done with all coaches. This is terrible.
It's going to get worse before it gets better, I think, which is a shame.
It is a shame indeed.
Yeah, it sucks. And like, it's made me plenty of times over the years contemplate walking away because I'm like, you can't help everyone. And like,
Yes,
when you have pure intentions and you genuinely just want to help people,
you can't help everyone. Yeah.
it's hard. And you're not, and I think one thing too, something that a lot of coaches miss is you're not going to be the coach for everyone. And that's okay.
Yeah, the best thing you can do is still, it all comes back to helping the person.
Mm.
And sometimes working with that client, actually isn't going to be the best thing for them. So if you stick to your rule of constantly helping people, it's like how doctors have do no harm.
Mm.
I think us as coaches need to have the exact same thing and also find a way to help. Find a way to help. That is the answer to everything. Find a way to help. And it might not be your ideal or what makes you look good as a coach, and it might not benefit you, but it's not about benefiting you as the coach. It's about benefiting the client. It comes back to that. Like that is the core like principle or value underneath coaching. And it gets so easily lost and overlooked.
Yeah. There's been times where I have had people hit me up for online coaching, and I've just said to them, I'm like, I actually don't think my service is going to be best suited for you. This is where you are, like whether you are in Australia or Gold Coast. This was one example in particular was a lady that I'd previously worked with in the face-to-face capacity from the Gold Coast. She mentioned me for online. I was like, I actually think face-to-face is still going to be the best thing for you. 2 to 3 coaches that I'd recommend within your area. If you want, I can send one of them a message, have them reach out to you. You guys can start the discussion. And she's still working with one of the coaches to this day.
And they're getting help. You've helped them. And the clients,
They're getting
the
help.
client, ex-client is never going to forget that.
No.
And us as
It,
coaches, we heavily rely on referral systems
mm,
because we're coaching and we don't have the time for marketing. So word of mouth is like the best thing. And it's like if you can just always help and do your job, you will spread that help, and it's the best.
exactly. I love that. And I think that that actually probably perfectly wraps
Yeah.
it up in a nice little bundle. I think it came to a very nice little conclusion there. I do have, however, so we've got 3 questions you need to answer before we wrap up. But
Okay.
before that, where do people find you? Where are you at on socials and things like that? How do they find you?
So on Instagram, Ishbel, Ishbel Graham, Graham. That is me on Instagram. You'll pretty much find everything you need to know about me on there. I don't have a website. You can go on to Strength Tribe's Instagram. You'll find that in my bio. That is where I work out of in person and online. So I've been at Strength Tribe, as I said, since 2022, so 4 years, and that is where I will be. If you're in Sydney, I highly encourage you to pop into the gym. Pop in. It's just a sick facility. In the next week and a half, we're getting 16 new pieces of equipment from Atlantis, which is really
I was
exciting.
about to say, you guys have so much Atlantis equipment, it's fucking
It's the
sick.
entire gym is decked out. If you're a bodybuilder, man, it's like heaven.
Mm.
We've heavily been known as a powerlifting gym because we run a lot of great comps and we do work with a lot of powerlifters. But we basically, what we do best is tie strength training and rehab together and closing that gap between what rehab and training is. Training is rehab, rehab is training. If you don't understand what that means, you definitely need to check us out because everyone's got something that they need to rehab in terms of like physically. So little movement patterns, things that, will optimize your training, prevent injuries. If you're in pain and you're lifting, which I know a lot of powerlifters are, funnily enough,
Mm.
learning how to use rehab and training together rather than just in a phasic structure of I'm in rehab, now I'm back to training. I'm in rehab, I'm back to training. We've got in-house physio and chiro. We've got amazing coaches, amazing facility. We work online as well. If you're in Sydney, come check Strength Tribe out. It is a lifter's heaven. It is awesome.
The community there is
I
amazing. I've seen it online for years.
It's great. It's great. And my DMs are always open. Always open. On my story the other day, I put up, I'd never done this before. I was like, hey, if you want a free technique review, send me a video. And I got 15 people who I'd never spoken to before send me videos. I've still got to do some of them. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I've really enjoyed doing it because I've just been
It's
like
fun.
chatting to these people I've never, it's so much fun. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is sick. I need to do this more. My DMs are always open. Just like shoot me a DM. And I know coaches are always like, shoot me a DM, like, let's work. I'm like, no, I actually just want to like say hi and get to know you because I've got so many friends online and then I see them in the real world and I'm like, oh my God, like it's just sick. I love it. So definitely reach out if you just want to say, hey, if you watch this episode, just DM me and be like, hey, I saw you talking to Josh. That's where you'll find me. That's my answer to that
I'll
question.
put all that in the show notes too, just in case anything got missed. But I'll put all the tags, everything when I put the Instagram post up. Ish will be tagged, collabed, all the rest of it. So you will be able to find her because I know you're going to want to. And if you are in Sydney, please go and check out Strength Tribe. They're a fucking awesome community and it's a sick gym.
Thank
But
you.
now for the 3 questions.
Yes, I'm ready. Let's go.
Question 1. If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Keep going. I know that's just cliche or
I like
whatever,
it.
but like genuinely, So when I was going through a really hard time, as I spoke about before, me and my dad are really close. If I was in a crisis, he would just hold me, like hold me down on the bed, like comforting, hold me in close to him, and he would just say like, it will get better and just keep going. Just second by second, minute by minute, it comes back. I would just tell myself to keep going. And recently, when I've had times where I don't want to keep going with whatever I'm doing, work, uni, finding struggles, like struggles are very different now than the struggles I used to have, but it just still comes down to keep going. So that's just how I would put it. And you can interpret that any way you want, but it's just keep going one foot in front of the other, even if it is so slow.
No, that's
Just
beautiful.
got to
I
keep
love that.
momentum going.
The second question. What is your favorite animal?
Oh man.
This is the one that stumps you. This is the question that stumps
Yeah,
you.
pretty much. I love kookaburras.
Okay.
I
That,
just think they're just such a beautiful animal and they just are so Australian and are so comforting to me. I want to get a kookaburra tattoo. I just love them. They're really cool.
that's awesome. I'm glad you put a lot of thought into that. That's the first time I ever had
I was gonna
kookaburra
say
as a
something
favorite animal.
silly. I was gonna be like frog or something. I don't know.
Nah, kookaburra is sick. I like that. I've had some
Yeah.
really cool answers, and some people have like a really deep like reasoning behind it. And I'm like, it takes a question that's kind of not made it out to be a bit of a joke, but it's just something a little bit more fun and friendly.
Yeah.
And some people just add a lot of depth to it, and I love that. But the third and final question: what does strength mean to you?
The ability to like push and pull. And I mean that in the way of being able to pull back when you have to and you don't want to, and push through when you have to and you don't want to. Like, if I had to really think about that in a broad way, it is literally a push and pull. We're constantly being pushed and pulled in different ways in our lives. We're constantly having to push forward and pull back. And I just think strength is the ability to exert those two things in an adaptive way through your life, having the strength to say no, the strength to say yes, to keep going, or to stop when it's the best thing to do. I think that actually takes a lot of strength, like mental strength. And then there's obviously the physical strength, like, pushing like bench press, pulling like deadlifts.
I love that. That's an amazing answer, and it encapsulates basically the entire podcast.
Yeah.
Ish, I cannot thank you enough for your time today.
Thank you for letting me come on and just yap away.
It's been great. I love it. You've given me the best answers that people have ever given me. There's just so much
Really?
depth to it. So yeah, just the depth. It's good.
Awesome.
I like it. So, as I said, for those of you who are listening at home, thank you very much for tuning in. I will put all of Ish's details in the show notes, also on Instagram and everything like that. You will be able to find her. And thanks for tuning in once again. I'll speak to you on
Thanks,
the next one.
Josh. You're the best.